Hey YouTube, welcome back to Universe X. It has been a little bit, so we're gonna jump directly back into content, keep the pace moving. This week should actually be pretty chock full because I had a bunch of stuff that I recorded, and there's been some personal stuff. It's been a little weird to upload, but we all make up for that this week. So I will come back to Red. I will circle back to Red, don't get me wrong. But a lot of people have already talked about Red, so I'm not trying to just release those quite yet. But we will talk about Black. Black has been able to, in Saiyan Showdown, surprise us with a whole bunch of effects. And I'm really ready to get into those because these are effects that just aren't run-of-the-mill. This is actually a step outside the box, and I'm very interested to see how players will not only receive these cards upon, after the spoilers, but actually how people think this may be implemented into our meta. So, with that being said, just some of the normal shoutouts. I want to let everybody know that the community group as well as the official Facebook group for this card game are very good places if you like this game. You're either going to see a lot of content creators coming through, a lot of good questions being asked, a lot of cool announcements, or you're going to be seeing spoilers and announcements from the official Facebook group. At the same time, definitely have a Discord. You can chat with the homies for my channel. Have a Facebook group that's still kind of building for this channel. Links will be in the description. And there's a couple other things that I just love playing all the time. You got TCGMetalZ, which makes great metal cards, and soon I'll be getting a code word so you can get a little discount off of your metal needs. And they make awesome custom leaders. Chris is always working to see how we can better figure out which leaders would be loved as metal keepsakes, and he's always working for new artwork, and just it's just a really good vibe overall. I also wanted to bring attention to Team Berserk's podcast. I was a guest star on there last week, and I just rewatched it. It's actually a blast. It's a really fun group of people, and just kind of you're able to get down to the nitty gritty, of that. So with that being said, let's actually change up the template. And then let's get directly into these Black cards. Do you want to say, if you like the content, think about hitting that subscribe button, notification button, and keep coming back for more content, because we are just going to keep putting it out. So yes, this card on screen is going to be the titular card for this video. This is Finn, and for you guys that do not know who he is an artificial Majin made by Towa. I was kind of hoping he'd have the Majin tag in his special trait, but perhaps that may have been bad for some of the set 6 Majin Buu cards. I'm not sure. I'd have to reread them. There's got to be a reason he doesn't have Majin, because he is literally an artificial Majin, and he looks very close to Kid Buu. So the point is, he's an artificial Majin made by Towa, and he is able to absorb people and use their powers. He hasn't really been on any mainstream thing, just Dragon Ball Heroes, and even in Dragon Ball Heroes he's kind of a little obscure, but I think it's really cool to get these new characters some awareness. But he's a Black leader for this set, or looks like to be the only Black leader for this set. Auto, when this card attacks, draw a card. Okay. Auto, when this card is when a card is placed under this card, draw 1 card, add cards from your life to your hand until you have 6 left, and then flip this card over. Activate main once per turn. If all of your energy is Black, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and place it under this card. And then, when your life is at 4 or less, you may draw 2 cards and flip this card over. So, we actually have a couple of things that are very interesting here, alright? Actually, sorry, I'll read the back and then we'll go into it. So, next, we've got Finn, Apocalyptic Absorption. Permanent, this card gains plus 5k power for each card placed underneath it. That's permanent, that's your turn and your opponent's turn. This is actually pretty wild. Alrighty. Auto, at the end of your turn, play all of the battle cards under this card in your opponent's battle area with their skills negated for the game. Then place all of the cards underneath this card in their owner's drop areas. Activate main once per turn. If all of your energy is Black, draw 1 card. Then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and place it under this card. Choose up to 1 keyword skill on a card under this card, and this card gains that skill for the turn. So, here's a couple things I want to say about the leader. 1, it is cool that he's able to draw when he attacks. It's always nice to see, kind of standard. The auto, when you place a card on this card, you draw 1 card and add cards from your life to your hand until you have 6 left, flip this card over, is very interesting, because essentially What this means is if you're going first against this deck, you cannot open up with a 1-drop play that does not have barrier. Because if you do, this deck will be able to charge 1 and then be able to use its activate main once per turn. If all your energy is black, which it should be, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, place under this card. You will immediately awaken at the start of your turn 1, going up 3 cards, because unless they can burn you for 1 damage on turn 1 or crit you somehow, you're going to be adding 2 cards from your life and 1 card from the top of your deck. So just +3 after you charge. That's actually really, really crazy. So against this deck, you're not going to be able to play a turn 1, and that could be very, very, very rough. Like I like playing U7 Gohan. I can't go first against this deck and set up with my 1-drop Gohan. It will immediately punish me for it. Take one of the most valuable pieces of my board and then be able to awaken. Now on its back end, it does sound crazy that this card is going to get 5,000 power for each card and place underneath it. But the thing you need to realize about it as well is that this guy is going to regurgitate at the end of his turn all the cards under it. So that means that you won't be able just to stockpile cards and have this guy be like some 40k beat stick at all times. Now the once per turn effect, if all your energy is black, draw 1 card, that's neat because you won't have to give your opponent a draw if you're in a weird game state just to swing and draw. You can just activate your activate main, take that card, keep it moving. But you can choose up to one of your opponent's cards without barrier, of course, and take it and then get a keyword. So you might be able to get, dual attack. You might be able to get triple attack, dual strike, triple strike. And that's actually why this card doesn't just auto draw and swing. They even put a once per turn or limit 1 on it. They said, nah, we're just gonna tie it to this once per turn effect. Because if you get dual attack, that would be really, really nasty. The other thing though is because you only regurgitate the cards under it during your opponent's turn, or during the end of your turn. If you absorb cards in your opponent's turn and then move into your turn and absorb more, he can get pretty fat. It's just that you are not going to be able to keep that going between your turn and your opponent's turn. So the next card we're going to move on to is Skill Hunter Majin Buu. He's a 2 black specified cost unison. Permanent, your opponent's skillless cards cannot attack this card. Very important. Auto, once per turn, if it's your turn, when a skillless battle card or unison card is played in your opponent's battle area or unison area, draw 1 card. Activate main, when this card gains plus 5,000 power for the turn, making a 20k unison swinger. -1, if your leader card is a black Finn card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, place it on your leader card. So, here are the things you need to take away from this. He has a tick 1 up, tick down. Yeah, and there's no other way to artificially add counters to it. So you're gonna need to be careful. But at the same time, he can't be attacked by skillless cards, meaning there might be some board setups where the only thing your opponent can swing at your unison with is their leader, which may add on to his longevity quite a bit. The other thing you need to know about this is when it's your turn, playing those cards are going to allow you to draw a card. Now, there may be effects we read later, because this is my first time sitting and reading everything, that we're going to be able to do mid-turn. But what this looks like to me is, since you can resolve the order of effects, at the end of the turn when you regurgitate your cards from under your leader, you are going to play all those battle cards to your opponent's side of the board with no effects, and then you're going to draw a card. So this guy will draw a card at the minimum once per turn. Well, generally he'll draw a card once per turn at the end of your turn, but sometimes he may be able to draw it mid-turn depending on the other effects. Next card, Finn Unison Absorber. Auto black. If your opponent has a skillless battle card or unison card in play, at the end of the battle which this card was comboed with from your hand, play this card from your drop area in rest mode. It doesn't cost anything to combo with it, so it's a 1-cost play. If your leader card is a black Finn card, when this card is played, you may choose one of your opponent's unison cards and place it under this card. If you do, this card cannot be used in a combo this turn. And at the end of the turn, play the unison card under this card in your opponent's unison area with 2 markers on it, and its skills negated at the end. So here's a couple things that are cool about this. You can eat somebody's unison, and you're going to be able to just, negate it after spit out with maybe less counters than what it had when you sucked it in. So that's actually pretty neat. Now, the thing that's already kind of giving me pause is that I've seen 2 effects now that have to force you to play differently against this deck. And yes, every deck should have a different game plan, but these are literally changing the way. You remember when Nimbus came out and you could no longer swing with leader first safely because Nimbus would rob you of an extra attack if you did that. Well, now against Finn the Unison Absorber, you can't swing with anything before your Unison, because you know, if you swing with your battle card first and they combo out of it using this, tap a black, they take your Unison and you just rob yourself of a swing. So against Finn, you're gonna have to start swinging with your Unison first unless you want them to be able to go plus on you. Then you also, because the leader card can't play a 1-drop going first because they will open up on you. So this is very interesting. I think that there's this card, just 3 cards in, we're already seeing that this deck is going to force you to sequence a lot differently just by existing. Now this guy also taking the Unison away is crazy because we're in the Unison Warrior format. We need our Unisons, and this guy is going to force you to play another one. And generally, you only mulligan for maybe 1 Unison, and the other copies come organically through drawing. Maybe some search effects if you don't have a better target in your search. But this deck is going to allow you to take somebody's Unison and force them to have another one. So I think that this is a very, very, very strong card. Very strong card. Next card we're going to go into, Finn, Coercion Incarnate. This is a very, very interesting card. SR in the set, deflect if your leader card is black. When this card is played from your hand, your opponent chooses one of their battle cards and you choose the rest of their battle cards and send them to the owner's board. Now, this is crazy. It's a 2-drop, 15k. And yes, there are some ways to work around it. We'll say, I don't know, you have a barrier on the board, right? I mean, you can choose a non-barrier to keep, and then your opponent chooses the rest of your cards, which can't touch your barrier, and warp, so you can keep 2 instead of 1. There are definitely ways to play around this, but not every deck is just slamming barrier threats on the board. So this is a really, really strong card for black, and this is it's awkwardly a card that doesn't require you to have a Finn leader. It just wants you to have a black leader. So with that being said, this is about to be a really good card. If you even remotely think that you like black cards, I would highly suggest you picking up 3 of these minimum, because this card is just generically good for black, and it's like one of those things where I said it with the Trunks Unison way back when it got revealed, the yellow one. Whenever you see a card do something for a color that color has generically, like over time, not been able to do organically, pick up that card, because that's rare. You know, that Trunks Unison has hard destruction, a board wipe even, and usually yellow is the color of tapping your opponent's resources too. Black has a lot of good single target removal, but it doesn't have the best and most accessible board wipes, and this is a pseudo board wipe. So this is just a monstrous card, and I would like to see if it comes SPR. The next card we're going to look at is Finn the All Absorbing. It's an 8-drop, it's Sword of the Boss Monster. Auto, Spirit Boost 1 if your leader card is black Finn, and this card is played, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place them under your leader card. Now this is the big shebang, okay? This is crazy. Activate main. If you have 4 or more energy and you place this card under your leader card in its owner's drop area, play this card from your hand. If it's 4 or more energy and you place a card underneath your leader card into its owner's drop area, place your card from your hand. Okay. Activate main, place 1 card under your leader card into its owner's drop area, switch this card to active mode. So here's what we're going to look at this for. For 3 energy on your turn, if you have 4 or more energy, you can take a single card from your leader, and since you purge at the end of your turn, you're going to have to use effects that put cards under your leader during your opponent's turn, or you're going to have to use your cards plus, you know, your once per turn, draw 1, suck a monster or battle card underneath yours. But you'll have to detach a card to play this guy. Then you take all of your opponent's battle cards and put them under your leader, which is a real board wipe. And then when you do that, you're going to be able to just once per turn place 1 card underneath your leader card. Yeah, that's tight. So this guy can swing for 25 once or 2 times. So he's essentially got dual attack. The cool thing though is this guy actually gets around certain cards. If yellow taps him down when he's played, you can then just detach a card and untap it. And you can swing with your leader before you do that, so your leader has the maximum benefit. A card I'm thinking this is really, really strong against is Icarus Dragon. Their board can get so big and now they have to really, if you play against food, you really have to worry about them, or Finn, you really have to worry about them annihilating your board for 3 energy past turn 4. So this is a monster of a card. It doesn't have deflect, so it's going to be rough to play against blue, but any time, you know, this card hits the board, you can destroy it, whatever, it's still getting its job done. So I actually really think this card is destructive. I'm kind of wondering why it wasn't an SR, but you know what? This is a strong card. So next we're going to move on to Towa, Calling the Hordes. 1-drop auto. When this card is played, look at the 5 cards from top of your deck. Add up to 1 black android or demon realm race with energy cost of 3 or less, or 1 black unison with a specified cost of 2. That can search Bardock or this new one. Very good, very good. Now you have Spirit Boost. If your leader card is a black Finn card, place up to 1 card under your leader card into its owner's drop area. Okay. Let's see. Place up to 1 card under your leader card in its owner's drop area. I'm kind of wondering, what's the point of that one? I guess we'll see. I guess we will see, because so far I don't think I've seen any card that particularly goes off of that. So next one, we have got Skill Hunter Tele. Counterattack, Spirit Boost 1, play this card. Permanent. If it's your opponent's turn, they have a skill as battle card or unison card in play. Reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. Cool. So Spirit Boost 1 energy to counter. If your leader card is a black Finn card, when this card is played, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or less and place it under your leader card. Very cool. So you'll be able to snatch something. And depending on the deck, that could be really gross. I mean, you could snatch quite a few things that are 4 or less and just put them under your leader. I like that a lot. It's very strong. Now the next one we have is Dabura, Demonic Defender. Permanent. If your opponent has a skills battle card or unison card in play, this card gains barrier and blocker. Auto, when this card is played, draw 1 card. So it's just a normal cantrip for 1. However, this guy will be able to gain barrier and blocker as long as your opponent has a skill as unison or battle card, which is cool. Now granted, if anybody makes my unison skill list, I'm going to be trying to draw into and play another unison quicker, sooner than later actually. And then when it comes to the battle cards, yeah, you can use them for beaters, but you might want to combo off your skill as battle cards. Your opponent can't use effects like this. I think this guy is a little rough because he just plays himself to draw a card. But you know, if your opponent really wants to go out of their way to shut down your barrier blocker, they can, just by managing their own field. So that's a little scary. But hey, it is what it is. I like it. And then the next card, Demon God Dabura, Skill Hunter. This guy is auto limit 1. When this card attacks, draw a card. Excellent. Activate main black. If your opponent has a skill as battle card, unison card in play, play this card from your hand. He's not unique, and that's crazy. The limit 1 does mean you do have to draw once per turn, no matter how many copies you have. But this guy is able to come down and just take a card out of your opponent, or to just swing for 20 and draw a card. And he only costs 1 energy. That's a lot of value on just a card. And even if you don't draw multiple times, if you're just trying to apply the pressure, 1 energy for a 20k body is pretty solid. I like it. So simple but clean. For you Kingdom Hearts fans. Next we got Absorption of Doom. Looks like Majin Buu absorbing somebody, not Finn, but it is what it is. Counterattack. If your leader card is a black Finn card, negate the attack. Additionally, if your opponent has a skillless battle card or unison card in play, they can only attack 2 more times per turn. This is very interesting. It's like sort of a dormant, sort of not, because it will negate the actual attack, but then it gives your opponent 2 more times to swing. So in terms of the fact that it limits 2 times, I like that because it's very powerful. And I like the fact that it definitely stops your opponent from swinging that 1 time. But they couldn't completely skill creep dormant or power creep dormant, because if it just negated 1 time and it was like, okay, you can only swing 1 more time, that'd be broken. However, this is going to allow your opponent to put their 2 swings where it matters and then pass you the turn back. So it's better and worse than dormant, but it's a very strong card. Now this next permanent, if your opponent has 2 more battle cards in play, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its energy cost by choosing 1 other black card in your hand and discarding it. That's the cheese. And that's not limit 1, that's not once per turn. You could use this card 3 times in 1 turn by discarding 3 black cards and playing this. It's a -6, but -6 is better than dying. So this deck will allow you to tap out quite often, negate effects, negate unisons, And the real question is, how much pressure is it going to be able to put up? Because the board wipe is a 15k. The Dabura is nice at a 20k. Your leader or your boss card is 25k and can swing twice per turn optimally. And then your unison is 15, but can go up to 20. And your leader is probably going to be higher every turn than 15. But we might have to get a little more creative to see how it goes. Whether you want to put the spice into the deck or anything, I think this deck has a lot of potential, and the bones are really, really good. This is a gem in black, and I think there's going to be a lot to do with this deck. The core looks like it can be fairly small, and we love that. So that is the overview of the Finn deck. I hope you guys liked it. I love diving back into spoiler season. I know I'm a little late, but spoiler season started when I was at Gen Con. This week has been monstrous. So thank you guys for watching. Like I said, if you like the content, hit the subscribe button. We'll keep coming up with more. Thank you guys for helping me grow the channel, and I will see you the next time you decide to join DBSCG.